Oh, welcome and good night to everyone who's watching. Wanted to jump on the live real quickly tonight and talk about a few things. Um, just going through my laptop right now just to have a quick look at this Preakness race that is happening Saturday at Pilmico racetrack, which is really a historical racetrack in the U.S. There's a lot of history down in um, uh, Baltimore, Maryland. Um, and that race has been going on for a long time. The second leg of the American Triple Crown. Uh, Anyone knows the history about the Triple Crown, you know that you know there's a significant factor when it comes to the Preakness and horse racing. Well, at least in the U.S. and it plays a big role for many racehorse fans and fans of the sport. So most horse players, they always try to pick the winners for the big events, the main events, and it's always a thrill watching. I'm gonna try to fix this camera properly because I'm not really familiar with this location here in the place, but I think it's okay. Let's see how it works. I think that should work pretty good. Okay, I think that's make sure I fix it better. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the Preakness a little bit, and I gotta tell you, um, I got one horse that's gonna win this race. I'm not gonna pick no other horses. I mean, the horse that should win, according to all the stats and according to history, is shouldn't say it yet. Make sure before I say it, because I know, I gotta be very careful with this because when you say it should win, it means that people are saying, okay, there's no other horse out there that should have beat this horse. I want to talk about this another race on Preakness Day, which I'm looking forward to, and it's only because of namesake. And I watched this horse run before, and I'm like, let me see how this horse run again. It's an exciting time for me as a person from Barbados. But before we get to that point, let's get back to as a fan. I'm talking about the Preakness early o'clock in my little rant or my little shout outs or whatever, live, whatever you want to say. But so I'm gonna talk early about the Preakness race and then move forward. All right. So let's go. So journalism is the horse that really people are saying that horse should have won. In hindsight, the horse should have won the Kentucky Derby, if you want to put it that way. The horse, with all the media, with all the attention, and everything else that people were saying about the horse and everything else, the horse should have won. Um, that being said, it didn't win, and and it got beaten. Ran second, came up a little bit short, got passed on the stretch. Sovereignty did his thing and really was prime and ready. Unfortunately, we're not seeing Sovereignty enter for the second leg. And for some people, they're saying, look, um, if you're going to enter a horse into the Kentucky Derby, if the horse is healthy, if the horse is fit, you should at least put the horse in the second leg just for namesake, just for the history of the race, so forth. That's what fans are saying. I mean, fans can say whatever they want. I mean, me, you, whoever, just being a fan, you can say whatever because you like the sport, you like the handicapping, you know, or maybe you just like the horse itself and you want to see the horse do big things. But I'm pretty sure Godolphin and people who uh, are in the business of horses for a long time uh, probably have different ideas, especially when it comes to uh, to these horses and what they can do after such big races. I mean, a big race like the Kentucky Derby alone, I mean, it stands out on your resume. So you in that race, and that shows a lot. Now you come back again further down in the year, and you can hit them up with the third leg at Belmont, and you can do some big things and win that after a little break, a little rest, and it goes in your resume. Come back again and hit them in the Breeders' Cup, or in a race early the following year, and then the horse can retire and so forth. There's a lot of things out there that you can do like that, and go forward. But that being said, what am I doing here? That being said, there's only one horse that I'm looking forward to seeing run for the Preakness, and that's Clever again. Jose Ortiz in the saddle. I think Steve Asmussen is gonna pull this one off. Him being the trainer, I think this horse is ready. I'm looking at the stats right now, and I'm seeing Clever again by American Pharoah, and had 2 starts, won both. No, sorry, had 3 starts. I won 2 out of those 3 starts. I think this horse is going to do well, but we still got to wait until race day to see what happens. But I think this horse is going to win on Preakness Day. If someone else out there want to challenge my decision, you can go ahead and maybe hit me up and let me know what do you think. What are your thoughts? But I think that Clever again is going to take it. I think journalism is tough and really should win. I also think that the horse that Flavien Prat is on should do well, goal oriented. Those are the horses that I'm looking at as potential horses that can win this thing. I know that Sandman is drawing a lot of attention and have a lot of fans now, and somehow people drawn to this horse. It's gotten really popular. I think there's some connections to this horse that somehow has put this horse in the spotlight tremendously, and yeah, I know. But Sandman drawing a lot of attention. I mean, I do like the horse, but for this race, I prefer Clever again. Sandman is 7, and Clever again is number 8. Now, if anybody knows me, they know my favorite number is number 8. And that being said, that's not the real reason why I'm choosing Clever again, even though it's my favorite number. But that's the horse I think should win this thing. I win everything and all. All right, so that's my conclusion for the Preakness. I think the horse is fresh. I think Clever again is fresh. I think it hasn't run since March, I believe. Let me just check here on my laptop. Last time ran at March 30th down Oaklawn. Broke his maiden at Oaklawn, and looks to do some big things for the 3rd time. So we'll see what happens there. I'll be sitting here at home, and I'll be watching the race and enjoying myself on Saturday. Now there's a race, and I almost forgot when I started doing this live, and then it popped up. So that might be a sign. So if you're watching, I'm not saying to go out there and play any of my horses or horses that I pick. I'm just saying something to think about, right? So you don't need to be superstitious. You don't need to have all these crazy ideas like I do. But if you're a fan of the sport and you're thinking, okay, it's a good day to make some money, or it's a good day to play a horse, or have a drink, or have a time with your friends and sit and chill, and enjoy yourself and have a good laugh, like like most horse racing fans like myself, and we chill and we talk and we have a good time. You can do this. So race 11 at Pilmico. All right. Race 11 at Pilmico. The race goes at 4:53 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a horse in there, 12-1, ridden by Forest Boys. It's called Barbadian Runner. And I watched this horse down at Laurel run. I think it was, when was it? Back in the winter. And he hit him up. What is it? A gelding? Yeah, hit him up twice. One back to back in 2 state races. One was at 7 furlongs and one was at a mile, and one then came back in a allowance race and ran a third. Now this race on Saturday is a mile long, and we'll see if this horse is prime and ready. Now I don't know any of these connections. I've never met these people. The trainer looks like a person by the name of Henry Walters, and the sire is Barbados. Very, I think that horse was a pretty nice horse back in the times when I was watching racing, just enjoying those great times for those horses' names from Barbados. And it surprised me the first time I watched this horse run and ran so well. But that horse is a horse I'm looking forward to watch run. I don't know how this horse is going to do. I'll be very honest, but just for the namesake alone, I'm going to watch this horse run and have a good time watching it on Saturday. All right. I mean, there's a bunch of stake races on that day, and I can't. I mean, I could go through them all, but I'll let you guys decide. You guys can comment on the live throughout the day or whenever from now until Saturday, and tell me what your thoughts are on these other races and so forth. But those 2 races, the 2 races I'm looking forward to, Preakness and that race 11 at Pilmico. Let's look at the name here just to be sure. It's called the James W. Murphy Stake, and it should be an interesting race. I mean, if you like horse racing and you like to take a chance, a Barbadian Runner, the 4 horse, 12-1, the gelding, and you never know. I mean, it's worth a shot. There's lots of big players in there, big trainers, and lots of jockeys. Louis Saez, he's riding my favorite number 8 horse called Curry. Trainer is Brittany Russell. I mean, she caught some light over the last 2 or 3 years, and she's been doing some tremendous things down at Laurel. So it's always an opportunity, and you should always watch out for those type of trainers at those tracks if you like the sport. Okay, so tonight I had a really good time. I went out tonight and chilled and went and enjoyed myself at a function that was for a really good occasion, and it was pretty cool. And to support this organization called Mankind, and those people involved in our organization, they do a really good job supporting women that go through sicknesses, cancers, and stuff like that. So went there, supported tonight, and had a great time. While I was there, I couldn't help but remember last week I had a really good conversation with some friends of mine, some older people. It really brought me to a topic here. I wanted to talk to the people out there about this and see how they felt about this, because we got into a conversation about younger people and how the generations are different, and the lady was telling me, and obviously she has her opinion on this, and I think we all, when we go through time and era, we are shaped by things that are taught to us when we were very young, and they stick in our heads. Sometimes we relearn things, and sometimes some things just stick with us for a very long time. So, for example, we got into this big long topic conversation. I know she's always, and obviously she's a very smart lady and everything else. But it stood with me. Put my laptop down for a little bit. But it stood with me for a little bit because, um, you know, as a person now who's much older, I had to rethink a lot of things and relearn a lot of stuff throughout my life. So we got into the topic of um, smoking versus drinking, and she was adamant that you know the marijuana stores and the youngsters, everyone is smoking weed. Apparently, she says all the young people are, and it's ruining them. And I just just take it all in, listen, and I'm thinking, there's a lot of people out there who are older or maybe some young people too, but they get real adamant about people smoking weed. I really don't, quite honestly. I don't. It doesn't offend me when people smoke weed or anything like that. I'm not saying that I prefer my children to go out there and smoke. That's not something I'm advocating. I'm not advocating for that. I'm not saying, listen, I want my children to smoke weed or anything like that. I don't want them to drink and get themselves drunk and crazy all the time either. But these are things in life that happen as we grow, and sometimes we don't grow out of it. So apparently, the weed is affecting everyone, and the weed is ruining our society, and it's the cause of everything. Now, me as a non-weed smoker, I'm not saying I've never smoked weed, but I'm not a smoker. Um, Again, I'm not a person who goes out and gets drunk and stuff like that either. So, I'm those are things that I do have a drink, maybe, I don't know, not too often at least. I can tell you how much drinks I've had for the entire year. This is May right now, May 15th, going into May 16th. And for this entire year, I probably had, and this is including my time I was in Barbados, I had altogether about 9 beers. And that's a lot. Last year, I probably had about 3 or 5 for the entire year, which is crazy. But compared to back in my earlier times when it was a normal thing to have drinks, it's normal to have drinks almost every day because I didn't think about it. It's just something that we did, and it was not a big deal. Um, Anyways, the whole point is weed versus alcohol. And I couldn't help but knowing me, I love a good topic. I love a good argument here and there every now and then. It's not arguing for arguing's sake, but it's just arguments for to decipher certain things that people put in our heads about things in general. So, for example, uh, weed is ruining the young people. Now, I'm trying my best to see how factual these things are that people say about certain topics, because for one, people get really strong and really strong-headed about certain things. So, for example, you can get all up in arms about weed, and um, but not the same thing about alcohol. And we've seen the campaigns here, and where the MAD movement, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. So far, I'm not sure if there's like campaigns like that for weed smokers. So that's a comparison I'm trying to draw. Um, we've seen a lot of people die um, from being hit by drunk drivers out there. But you can challenge me on this and tell me how factual this is, or um, are there many cases where people are high from smoking weed and cause accidents? And are these numbers reported? And what are the statistics on these? Because look, I'm not saying I don't have a weed shop, so I don't have no gain in this. I don't smoke, so I don't have a gain in this. But I'm just saying these are the things that were put in our heads from when we were young, and there's some people who are very adamant about these things. For the most part, I've I've never really seen anyone smoke marijuana and get all angry. Most of the time, people that I see smoke, they just mellow out and just um, chill. They go about their business. I mean, that's most people that I've seen. But if you've seen other people do other things, other crazy stuff, um, maybe you can let me know. The argument was from this lady that it's a gateway to something else. So after smoking weed, her claim is that it's just the next level. Like the marijuana is just the stepping stone to do something else to get high. Now, I don't really necessarily believe that, because I believe if you're gonna get high, you're gonna get high no matter what, and people will find reasons to get high. So I don't think they're just using marijuana as a stepping stone. I think marijuana might be the chosen um, drug or herb to to get high in the initial stages. But those same people want to get high, so they're going to find something else. Now, there's a lot of people I know who smoke marijuana for years and years and years and years. I mean, these are people in the 70s and stuff like that. I mean, as in 70 years old and so forth, and they have never tried anything else. That's just something that they do or practice, and that's really it. Now, on the other hand, if you want to challenge ourselves and we talk about um, alcohol, now, why is it that people get so angry about the marijuana, but yet they're so casual about the alcohol? And we've seen people pissing drunk um, all the time, especially on weekends, um, doing crazy stuff in parties, out in social events, stumbling all over the place. But we don't carry that same kind of anger towards those people like we do for marijuana. Now, that being said, I mean, they're both uh, something that can stimulate you and stimulate others differently. We all have different ways and how we handle these things. But I don't know. I think that too much of anything is not good for anything. And I think that if we're going to do weed, um, you know, you do it in a way that is not going to, if you know it affects you differently, if you know it affects your brain differently, then obviously you don't want to do something that is going to make you too high, that is going to cause accident. But again, I haven't heard any real stories about accidents being caused um, from marijuana smokers. I was really curious to hear from anyone. So that's why I brought it to the public and to the attention of the people out there, just to hear what you think. Because, everyone that is intelligent or claim they're intelligent will tell me and give me reasons why they think that the marijuana is bad for or younger generation. I know to me, it's a little bit accessible. So I think, but look, I don't know. I got mixed emotions about this thing because I don't see a problem with it because if you're gonna smoke, you're gonna smoke no matter what. I think it's there. It is there. I think the only thing that I have against it is that it cuts out people who've been using the marijuana plant to help support their families and so forth, without it being legal. But now it pushes those people in an area where they can't make no money because the people who have licenses and so forth who have, put it this way. So say for instance, for many years, you've been locked up, or you get charges or tickets, whatever. You get fines for selling or for using marijuana. And then, you're in jail for 20 years, 15 years, whatever. And you looking out through the jail window, through the cell window, and you're seeing people now are able to smoke as they like. I mean, up and down the street. And you have these charges inside the cell, and you're wondering what the hell happened? Uh, why am I inside here? So, I mean, you got all these trumped up charges for a piece of grass or weed or whatever you want to call it that grows up alongside your home. You're able to use it because maybe you're not um, as productive in terms of book smart, where you know society recognizes you as a true player in the office or something like that. So you're able to farm and sell marijuana or whatever, support your family and whatever, right? But you get locked up. Now all of a sudden, here comes the same people who put the charges on you, and now they're able to acquire all these licenses, and they can open 2 or 3 shops selling the same plant that you've been accumulating these charges for several years. So I think the stigma affected a lot of older people, and I think older people are adamant about some things and not others. There's many examples out there where people will tell you something is good for you and something is bad for you. Um, Usually, the thing that they think is bad for you is something that's been placed in our brains from a very early stage, and we can't seem to knock it. For example, sticking with the whole marijuana versus alcohol theme, um, there's people I know, for example, would sit in a group, sit in a group of people. You call them a club or uh, clique or whatever you want to call it, and they'll have their crew where they drink Hennessy, and they're able to chill and and um, and have a good time, and they can form relationships, they can network, and they can do business together, and that'll be okay. That's accepted. Um, I wanted the same thing for the guys that smoke as well. That being said, I'm not saying one is good or one is bad, but I'm just saying there seems to be um, more people that I've talked to over the years who've got this whole stigma uh, towards the smoking versus the drinking. I'm the kind of person who prefer not to do um, both. I'll drink, but not heavily and not too often, especially now. I mean, in my earlier times, yeah, I can have a drink any time, and most of the time when I was really younger, in my 20s, it was any time of the day I could go out and socialize, and it was pretty cool. It was very normal. As you get older, your body can't um, can't manage that anyways, so it doesn't make sense for me to even do that. As a matter of fact, if I have a drink tonight, I'm not getting up anytime early the next day. I'll tell you that. I tell most people that. So if you want to see me early, don't give me drinks, because I ain't coming up early for that. So, anyways, that was my whole thing. With the marijuana versus alcohol, because I had a very good long conversation with one of my friends who's much older than I am. Um, and they were giving me a lot of good points of the reason why marijuana is affecting younger people. I found it very challenging. I don't see it the same way that they do. I tend to look at things very logical. But I don't have all the stats, so I brought it to the public. So the public, there's people with different experiences. People will have different opinions on these things. Um, I mean, everything so far that I have heard about smoking, it has reversed in over 30 years, 50 something years now. That whole mentality has reversed. Um, Alcohol, by the way, has done a lot of damage in a lot of years, more than 50 years, but that hasn't reversed. That's still the same, where it's still sell, it's still legal. It's always been like that for my time, and caused a lot of problems, and still um, still in the market, and everyone's very happy-go-lucky about it. So, all right, so that was I wanted to get off my chest. Leave it like that. But back to the Preakness, because can't talk horse racing all the time consistently like that. But I wanted to talk about, I want to get that alcohol versus weed off my chest. No pun intended about the off my chest. Um, but I think Clever again, that's my horse for Saturday. That's the horse I really do like. Have another quick look here again, my laptop, just to be sure. Um, and people always say, "Well, why do you like the horse?" Well, I like the horse because, first of all, I think Jose Ortiz is having a great year. Um, 113 wins, 466 starts for the year. Um, so that's one of my reasons. I think he's having a great year. He's been doing some tremendous things in the U.S. Um, he's becoming one of my favorite writers outside of Rocco Boyne, obviously. That's my guy to watch ride races. Um, I think out of the two Ortiz brothers, I think Irad gets more shine, obviously, but I think Jose Ortiz is one that flies under the radar. I think that you watch horse racing a lot, and you will see John Velasquez and Irad Ortiz, um, Flavian Pratt, Luis Saiz, Junior Alvarado. You'll see those guys get a lot of shine, but you don't necessarily see Jose Ortiz um, get in the spotlight like that. But he's definitely there. I mean, but not when you look at it in the spotlight, you'll see Irad, you know, those kind of people. I mean, on a smaller stage, you'll see Jose pop up. But he was riding in New York. He was doing some damage. I think he rode at Fairgrounds this past winter. But every now and then you see him somewhere else and doing some real damage. So I'm I'm going with number 8 for the Preakness, and I think that horse should do some damage. Steve Asmussen, um, they'll get the job done. If it doesn't, I'll have a good smile. I'm pretty sure I'll come up with an excuse, a reason why that horse didn't run his race if he doesn't run his race. But Clever again, that's the one. American Pharaoh, son of American Pharaoh. That should get the job done. It should be a great day. Hopefully, it's not muddy. As much as it makes a little bit of story time with the mud and so forth on a big day, I prefer it not to be muddy. We'll have a great day of watching the races, and it should be pretty cool. By the way, it's a long weekend in Canada, here in Ontario, so should be cool. Should be good. Um, should be lots of things to do. Having some fun. And enjoying ourselves because it's now starting to warm up. Believe it or not, it's almost half of the year in Canada or anywhere else. Half of the year. Jesus, what am I saying? It's almost half of the year, and now starting to warm up. So which leaves us with June, July, August, and then it's over. And people always say, Derek, what are you gonna say that? What you gotta say that or say it like that? But it's true because I try to squeeze as many things as possible in during that time between now until about August. Try to squeeze as many things in as possible because it gets pretty cool, miserable right after that. That being said, time for me to jump off. Time for me to hit the bed. It's been a long day. Tomorrow's another day. And tomorrow, maybe something else will pop up. All right. So let me your picks. Let me know. Tell me what your thoughts are on what I was saying earlier about the marijuana versus the alcohol. I look forward to seeing your comments. All right. Until next live, man. Hit you up then. Later. Peace.